Hi there. I'm Susan Saenger, and I am Spry Fitness. And Spry Fitness helps people 55 and up have the strength, energy, mobility, and confidence to enjoy the second half of their lives. So I love helping people um, be able to keep up with their grandkids, get up and down off the floor with their grandbabies, um, you know, travel, feel confident walking on the cobblestone streets of Europe, and or just tend their garden and haul mulch and get down and pick squash and do the kinds of things that they've been enjoying and they want to continue to enjoy even as they age. And my topic today, as you know, is age is just a number. So we're going to talk about what really contributes to kind of where you are and what you can do at any age. And I'm really glad that you all are here today because you all are a particularly, I think, aware group, or of people who are aware of your own bodies and of your own minds and thoughts. And so I think that you will be able to help me today, in fact, think a little bit more about the things that I'm talking about and asking about. It'll be really nice to think alongside with you about these issues that I'm going to bring up. A lot of you probably aren't beginners in terms of thinking about aging, and also you're probably interested in health, and so you probably are active, but I'm sure that you know people who are beginners or who aren't as active as maybe they should be. And I love working with those people. I love helping people get to know their bodies and feel okay about starting to exercise. A lot of times, and here I go with a cliche about old people, but it's not really cliche if it's based in truth. And no, but a lot of people in general, not just older people, but are a little hesitant about exercise. They worry that they're going to get hurt. And so I kind of joke that my motto is getting hurt is not part of the plan. So anyway, I thought, because we've been sitting here for a while, and because I don't know about you, but since my life has been indoors, I've been sitting a lot more lately, sitting in front of these Zoom calls. So just to get us moving this morning and having our blood flow a little bit and feel a little bit more comfortable and ready to listen and learn, I thought I'd lead you through a really just simple movement warm-up, if you don't mind. Everybody in favor, raise your hand. Okay. So I'm thinking everybody's sitting down. If you're not sitting down, it's fine. You don't have to be sitting down. But we're just going to start wherever you are. And I want you to feel where you are supported by the floor or by the seat that you're in, so that you can feel that pressure come up out of the earth or out of your chair to support you. So at the same time that you're sort of sinking down into it, it's responding and lifting you up. So that's just a nice way to feel supported by whatever is around you, your grounding and your chair, and feel that it's an active support. So next, let's just roll our shoulders around, because we sit there in the computer like this. So we get those shoulders going, just roll them around. And you can breathe along with it, however makes sense to you, but I kind of like to breathe in as I reach my shoulders up and breathe out as they kind of come down and around. And out. And of course, you all know this, but not everybody does. And I make a lot of assumptions about what people know. So I'll just say it, that the breath just really helps you get into your body, and it just helps you slow down a little bit. So now let's reach up, and just like a morning stretch, just any which way you like, to kind of reach into those fingertips up to the ceiling and stretch your chest open and side to side. And if it triggers a yawn, even better. And then if you, my dog is, he sits right behind my chair all the time. And then I move and he's like, ah. All right, so reach down and all the way down as far as you can. See if you can touch the floor. And when you get there, or wherever you feel comfortable, if you need to support yourself on your lap with your elbows or something, that's fine too. But I want you to let your head go. So you just like hang out and just let your head relax and take a few breaths there, feeling the length through the backside of your body, feeling your head relax, let the tension in your neck go. You can even sort of shake it like you're a bobblehead doll just to see that in fact it's relaxed. And then to come back up, feel your sit bones on your chair and press them into the chair, and then just stack one vertebrae over the next. You can climb up your legs with your hands if you like, and just restack your body up over your hips. Good. Roll the shoulders again. Reach up one more time. Take one foot out in front of you, your heel down on the floor, but your legs straight. So you might have to scoot forward on your chair. And then you're gonna reach your chest forward and out over that long leg, just to stretch a little bit more into the back side of your leg that's reached out, so your hamstring on that side. If you need to support yourself on your bent knee, that's fine. Just don't put weight into the knee that's long, that's straight. Take a breath here and let it out, and then come on back up. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. First, roll the shoulders, sort of a little sun salutation here, reaching up. Take that other leg forward, reach out and over that. You do not have to touch your toes. If you can, then awesome, but you don't have to. It's not about what the shape looks like. It's about whether or not you're getting the stretch through the back side of the leg. Take a breath here. And then come right back up. Now this one is super good for people who sit a lot. It's called figure 4. You've probably encountered it, but in a seated position, show you my legs. You're gonna take one foot, ankle, there's the first, over your other knee, over your knee. So you've got your legs crossed, but open wide. Again, sit up nice and tall, pull your rib cage right up out of your hips, and then lean forward just as far as you need to, just as far as you want to feel some stretch through the hip. Take a breath here. Take another breath here. This one might be kind of intense. And then come on up. And let's do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, sit nice and tall and lean out over your lap. So it's not about rounding over. You want to really reach your heart forward. You want to pivot from your hip. If you're super flexible and can lay your belly right over your lap, then fine. Relax your head, relax all together, that's fine. But that's not where most of us are. So just go as far as you feel comfortable, and you just want to feel a little tension, a little pulling through the hip. Should not be super painful. Take a breath and come on back up. Cool. So then let's go ahead and stand up. We'll get the blood flowing a little bit more. Now it's fun if we have music, but we don't have music today, so we're just gonna make our own music. Let's just march. So pick up your knees. Try to pick them up as high as you can. Sometimes people like to put their hands out in front of them, like right in front of their belly button, and then try to hit their hand. But if you can't hit your hand, that's fine. Just pick up. Tap those knees. Tap, 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 tap. Do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, kick yourself in the butt. I'll kick in the butt sometimes. Your heels up towards your bottom, and it won't touch. Most likely, it will not actually touch your bottom. It's okay. But now we're working the back side of the leg, getting a little stretch through the quad, but a little work in the back leg, but side of the leg. So kicking those heels up. And if you wanted a more high intensity situation here, you're really energetic, you had 3 cups of coffee, you could jog it. You can always add a little bit of intensity by just kind of hopping up off the ground. So butt kicks here. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now we're going to step side to side. So we work the front side, the back side. Now we're going to work the side side. So step out to the side, step out to the side. Big steps if you can. Step out and step out. And to add a little intensity here, you can bend your knees and kind of squat down and send your butt back as you're trying to sit into a chair, just side to side. Or you could add intensity by doing some jumping jacks. So whatever level you're at, pick one and do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and just kind of spin yourself around. So as if you're going to look behind you. And don't force the twist. Just a gentle turning around, back and forth. Just real gentle and nice. And then take one arm up over your head. We're going to stretch to the side. So you're going to take it over the top, lean out over one side, and take it over the other way. Just notice how your breath is now, your heart. Probably revved it up a little bit. Try to really reach the fingertips out. Try to reach your elbows sort of here. So it's a nice long arm. And one more. Good. Big breath, big arm circle. Let it bring all the way around. Let's do it again. Big breath, arm circle. And on this last time, we're going to leave the arms open wide here. And lift the chest, look up at the sky. You can imagine that you can see right through your ceiling and out through your roof and up until the blue sky. Stretching the chest open. Again, like I said, we spend so much time hunched forward. We really want to open the chest. And let that go. Good. Everybody feeling good? Give me a thumbs up if you feel good. Give me a thumbs down if you hated it. Okay. Good. Thank you for the thumbs up. You can make yourself comfortable. You can stay standing if that's good for you. My husband has a standing desk, so he spends a fair amount of time of his workday standing because that works better for his body. And Barnsley, do you have one of those balls that you sit on? Somebody I know has one of those balls. You know, the big physio ball. You have one of those. Yeah, there she is. Look at Rachel bouncing up and down. There you go. That's perfect. All right. So one thing about exercise is getting the blood flowing is that it makes it easier to learn. And there's some evidence actually that shows that if you exercise within 2 hours of learning something new, that you retain that information better. So someone asked about timing earlier, I think Liz did, whether it's good to do it early or later, whenever works for you. And also I think there's advantage to doing it before you have work to do so that you've got the blood flowing and you've kind of worked out any stress and you can be focused, but it's also beneficial to exercise after you've done something where you had to learn because it helps to kind of set that learning. And I have some stories to tell you. So, and I want us to be able to talk about them. So I'm gonna ask you a question at some point and then say go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll just have a little discussion. Like I said, I really appreciate you all being educated and in health and wellness so that we can all learn from each other. I'm not here to pontificate. So I wanted to tell you a few stories. This one is I read in Shape magazine, and it's about Joan McDonald, and she at 70 was on a bunch of medication for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, acid reflux. She felt tired and uncomfortable in her body. She had arthritis. She had had knee replacement surgery. She felt like she could barely bend her knees, and she realized that she hadn't focused on her health in quite a number of years. And so at that, she decided to do something different. By the time she was 73, she had lost 60 pounds. She was no longer on those medications. And she had achieved her goal of being able to do a chin-up. So she says, and this is kind of where I got it, although I think she's probably not the first person to say it, is age is just a number. And that we are strong and capable of change. And this I love. She said, even though you can't turn back the clock, you can wind it up again. So I thought that was a good one, because we're not getting younger, but we can still have that verve or vim or vigor or whatever. So the second story is about the San Diego Splash. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're a women's basketball league in San Diego, California. And the San Diego Splash itself is a team in the league it's actually the San Diego Senior Women's Basketball Association. And that association encourages women over 50 to play basketball. And I saw this in a ESPN short film. So the San Diego Splash is actually a team, and all of the players are over 80. There's a member of the team, her name's Marge Carl, and she's 87. And she said that her childhood friends, when she joined the team at 67, her childhood friends said she was crazy. And they said, you're gonna break something. And she says now in the short that she's the only one who's surviving of that group of childhood friends. She's the only one still alive. So then the third one I want to tell you about is Harriet Thompson, who you might know because she's from Charlotte. And in 2015, she became the oldest woman to have completed a marathon. She was 92. She ran the San Diego race in 7 hours, 24 minutes, and 36 seconds. And I don't know about you, but I will never run a marathon in 7 hours. I mean, that's just, it's not my goal. If it were, that would make a difference, but still. So she's at 92, she ran a marathon in 7.5 hours, essentially. She started running in her 50s. She didn't run a marathon until she was in her 70s. And she died at 94, but not before raising over $100,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is the beneficiary of funds raised in the San Diego Marathon. So I just thought these stories were really cool. And they're inspirational, but that's not really the reason I'm telling them. What I really wanted to talk about was what your reactions are to those stories. Which ones are your favorites? And what's important to you about any of the stories? So if you want, you can mute yourself and you can share whatever thoughts you have about those stories. Like which one sort of stands out and why? Robin.
I love the basketball player because it's again that winding the clock, but it's the yes, you can still do it. You can still go out there and move. I like it because she reminds me of my mother, who is 94 now, 94 and a half now, and she still swims. She's still she's still active as she can be. And she in a healthcare center where everybody's bent over and using walkers, and she's like, I refuse to use a walker. I mean, she stands up straight, she does the shoulders back. I mean, every time I see her, it's like it makes me do my past posture better. So anyway, I love that one.
Cool. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Yeah, Marty, unmute yourself. Unmute. There you go.
I really like all of them because I think age and getting older can be a stereotype. And people have the mindset that they accept that as they get older, they should be doing less, they shouldn't be as active, they should be very careful not to break things. And as you said, with those stories, it just has the opposite effect. It makes us younger for so much longer and stronger, and just changes our mindset and the way we look at things.
Thank you, because I think you gave my talk for me. That is perfect.
I'm sorry, I'll leave now.
Awesome. But that's it. I mean, because that's a big part of it, is I think these expectations that we have, and they're called like what are they called? They're sort of socially applied. You know, the ideas that there's certain things you can or can't do. So we'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. Anyone else want to just tell us about your reaction to the story? Yeah, Rachel, unmute yourself. Okay.
I really liked the first one because it was somebody who wasn't at her peak. Like, it wasn't that she maintained and never stopped. She did stop, and she did get into that mindset and everything, and then came out of it. So the unwinding of the clock, I loved that. I think it's encouraging for anybody who's at any place, because you could do whatever you want. It doesn't matter how old you are or how out of shape you are, you can start over.
Yeah, that's a great point too, that you can make a change. It's a significant change. Yeah. Liz?
I think that, an element to all of this is that these people wanted it, right? And now I'm like, part of me wants to send this recording to my mother, and part of me really wants to say this. The minute my mother retired, she said, I'm going to sit in front of the TV and knit. That it's my right. And so she's gained weight and her joints ache and she's not happy. But she says, all the little things that she tries to do don't work. So she goes for walks with her neighbor who walks her dog, and that's it. And it's crushing me because I'm like, it doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
So this all just very inspiring.
That reminds me of my mother. Because she knows I'm like always at the gym or I'm doing something, when I talk to her, she's like, okay, I know, I'm gonna go to the gym. I haven't been yet today. I'm gonna go. It's like, she knows she has to tell me that she's gonna go and exercise.
My mom doesn't even bother. And then she's like, did you hear that? Those are my cookies in the oven.
Right.
Like,
That's what she would like to do, but she feels guilty. So I just said to her, you don't have to go. You don't have to. But if you don't
complain to me.
Feel worse, you know. No, I mean, it's up to you. But you're not going to feel better by not going. The only way you'll feel better is by going. So, anybody else? Hey, Rebecca, unmute.
I liked all of them. Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Suzanne. Then we'll get to Rebecca.
I liked all of them. The one that struck me the most, I think, was the basketball. Because it spoke to me after I had my accident. It took me a long time to get more physical again. I mean, I did physio for a while and then I left that and just did the yoga. And it took me a long time to be able to get on a bike again. I mean, when you have an accident like that, it sort of unnerves you.
Right.
And you begin to think, oh, it's because I'm aging, or, I don't have as good balance, or my bones are going to break. And so I just love the gumption that woman had to go join the basketball. And it's also, as Liz was saying, it's the mindset. And that's why it's so important for us to work with our minds as well, because we listen to our minds as if we know them, and yet we don't know them very well. Most of us are quite, we've sort of been hoodwinked by cultural thought, and we believe more of what's coming from outside of us than we do what's coming from inside of us.
I want to hear thank you, Suzanne. I want to hear what Rebecca has to say, and then I'll continue.
I loved all those stories. And I think one thing that I see anecdotally with the patients that I work with, and in our clinic, we primarily work with a more over 55 type crowd. And there are a lot of folks who have neurological issues that they're dealing with as well. But when it comes to why we're seeing them, I see people kind of fall into one of two categories typically. A lot of times there's people who have moved or been moving, and maybe they've worn out a joint or had an injury that they have to come back from. But we also see people who stopped moving and have experienced all of the comorbidities that come with that. And sign me up for the first category, because it really, it's sad to see, but also when we work with them, we do help them understand that it's never too late to start. There are things that we can do, even if it's just moving less throughout the day and then transitioning to an exercise program. And Suzanne, I love that you shared that you did your physio, but then, what's after that? Because it is hard to come back from an injury. But the key to being really successful with that is finding something in the community that you enjoy and can get back to. And that is really, really important. We have a wellness clinic in our gym as well, and nothing makes me happier than coming in at lunchtime and seeing 4 or 5 women in their 80s all doing their new step together, and then they all go to lunch afterwards. And in our community here, I know I'm part of a dance company for older adults, and I'm the baby. I'm by far the youngest. The average age is 60, or the oldest is 79. And I just think that those kinds of, I wish there were more community type group exercises like the basketball or the dance or Tai Chi, or maybe there are and I just need to learn more about it. But I think having that community aspect can be really supportive at helping people move more again and feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a really key piece of that basketball story, that she has a team, so she has a built-in social group as well in this activity that keeps her both physically active, mentally active, and socially active. And so those are all important pieces. Yeah, pickleball, exactly. Cool, pickleball for seniors. Thanks, Barnsley. Okay, so hey, I think what I want to point out is that these stories might be exceptional, but I think only to in the matter of a degree. Because I also know people locally who are like this, but maybe they're not 92 and running marathons. But I have a friend whose name is Larry, who's 68, and he's been in the senior games, and he travels all over the country to participate, and he's run countless marathons and 10Ks and excuse me, and all of that. There's a man who takes my silver sneakers class who I just found out he's 90. I would never have guessed he was 90. Wow. He swims a couple hours a week and he takes my silver sneakers classes. He's a regular at the gym. And then my friend Davis, who's 89, he's also regular at the gym, and he's a soloist in his church choir. So think about the core support that you have to sing to, church, right?
Right.
So these are, and my friend Heidi, who I helped prepare for her first ski race. I think she's 56, and she did her first ski race last winter, I guess January actually, and won a bronze medal. So yay. And so those are all examples of people we may know who are doing it, right? And they're rewinding the clock. The thing about it is that we may know people who are our age or older who are doing these amazing things, running marathons and whatnot. But we also know people who are our age and younger who can barely get off the couch, right? So this is evidence to me that it's not about the number. This is not about whether you're 56 or 47 or 82. It is about what you're willing to do, what you're willing to do to get it, And it's also has to do with just like age and genetics, right? And we have all these ideas about what it means to be old, but I want us to be aware. So I want us to be aware of those biases and what it is we kind of apply to ourselves and to others in like that that social script. That's the term I was trying to come up with. Social scripts that we have about aging, and we apply them to others when we apply them to us, to ourselves. If you think about in the workplace, ageism in the workplace, you know, people might assume if you're a certain age, you know, you don't understand technology. If you're old, you don't understand technology. If you're young, you're lazy, right? Or physically, you know, I've literally had someone tell me, if you're over 60, you shouldn't climb a ladder. I mean, I don't know if anybody should climb a ladder, honestly, but the lawyers put the labels on there that say, don't climb this ladder. So they're dangerous anyway, but like, why is it 60? Like, what is that? So, you know, I think we all express some of these common ideas that you can't, it's about your mindset and what you believe you can do. I'm wondering, when you said you liked the stories. Yeah, Marty said, you know, there's this idea that you have to just accept an age-related decline. Rachel pointed out that, you know, that one woman made a change. It's like there's age-related decline, and you know, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? That's kind of the saying, but that's the idea. And I cannot tell you how many people I have worked with, and I work with people who are over 55 who have made significant changes. I had a guy I worked with for like 4 years. He couldn't stand on one foot when he came in. He had all these like pins and screws in his foot, and he had numbness in his foot from an old skiing accident. And like, he can run and jump and throw a medicine ball around. And it's really great because we were working out one day, and someone in the gym came up to us, and they were like, I want to be you when I grow up. You know, so we have these ideas in these scripts that we have to accept it. It's inevitable, and you can't change. And so I don't know where we get all these ideas, but I think that, you know, we have to think about how we're communicating them and how we're perpetuating them. I bring it up because people have asked me literally, what can I do at my age? And I say, I don't know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Because it's not about the number. I think it has to do with genetics, experience, and attitude. You know, your genes give you certain gifts or challenges, right? There's innate ability or talent. Some people have have an easier time with certain things. Like, I had a friend that I worked out with, and she was just bigger than me and broader than me, and she could lift heavier weight because her body supported it easier, you know. Some people are good at math. Some people have music ability. So we know that there's these talents. And then we also get other stuff, like we find that our genes have to do with our predisposition for diabetes and heart disease. So you're given that. And then then we do different things with it. And we all have personal stories and personal histories. So I always say age is just a number, and it doesn't matter your age, but at the same time, obviously, the number of years you've lived on the planet is gonna influence what kind of experiences you've had. If you're young, you haven't had the opportunity to have the ski accident yet. Or I don't know what happened to Suzanne, but you know, the longer you live on the planet, the more likely it is that you're going to be in a car accident or something's going to happen, right? So that is a factor, but it's not just about that. had good experiences and helpful experiences. So like if you had early physical training and you have a sense of your body and you have good core support from being a dancer, or you know, good body awareness from being an athlete, then that's great. But you may have had an accident and you have an old injury. So what your body is bringing at any particular moment is really more important than what your birth certificate says, the date on which you were born. And you know, even if we go back to like diabetes and heart disease, that kind of thing that you might be predisposed to, things people talk about like lifestyle issues. So how you've been eating and treating yourself is important, obviously, too. But it's so interesting. Like I said, I work with people who are 55 and over, and some people have a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they have the heart disease and the diabetes, and the arthritis, and some people don't have any of it. So is it age or is it something else? Obviously, I think it's a combination of factors. How long you've been on the planet, what your genes gave you, what you did with yourself over the last however many years. And everybody's unique. And actually, that's one of the things, and Pooja mentioned this, it's one of the things I like about what I do, because everybody is different. So it's like a little puzzle that I get to solve. And then you all also thought of the issue of attitude and mindset. And obviously, your attitude really is a huge factor. It's your attitude towards yourself and your attitudes towards the goal. You know, how committed are you towards whatever goal you have? Obviously, I think most of you probably know this, but people who believe they are capable will be more successful than those who doubt themselves. And when it comes to a goal, some are bigger. You know, so if you want to run a marathon, that's maybe a bigger goal than I want to be able to carry my groceries in from my car. But it also depends on where you're starting from, right? So if you've been a runner, running a marathon might not be a huge deal. And if you broke your leg, carrying your groceries in might be a huge deal. So again, it's where are we starting from? What is the goal? How important is it to you? So when people ask me, what can I do at my age? I just say, what do you want to do? And then we go through the whole process of what are you bringing to the table? What are the challenges? Do you have plates and, you know, screws in your shoulder? Or did you win the genetic lottery and you've got no health problems? You're 82 and you have 0 health problems. Awesome. You've probably heard about, when it comes to attitude, you're knowing what your why is. So what's your why? Why do you want to, if you know exactly why you want to accomplish something, it'll be clearer and you will be more willing, if it's an important why, more willing to do whatever it is that it's going to take to get you to your goal. And one other thing I want to say about mindset, which is that we tend to judge ourselves, and I find this with older people, and if you notice this, you may notice this with yourself, you may notice it with your parents or people that you know, we tend to judge ourselves against our younger selves. And they say, well, I used to be able to do fill in the blank. And I don't know if that's helpful or not. And maybe you all have some ideas about this. If it is a gentle nudge, or if it's inspirational to you and you think, I can still do that and I want to be able to do it again, then that's great. But if it's shaming, or if it's depressing, or I don't know, if it's not helpful, then let it go. It doesn't matter. I find with my older clients, and it's really interesting, and it is something I like about it, is they do want you to know who they were when they weren't old. And I do think that's really important, and I want to know that. And I love hearing stories from older people about what they did in their younger days. I have a client who went to see Tina Turner in concert, and I went, you know, and I know a guy who worked in the, you know, was a photographer in the White House. I mean, it's great. I want to hear these stories, but I also want them to know that who they are in this moment is also really cool. And it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it matters and it's interesting, and I know it's important to them, so I want it. I'm fine with it being important to them, but I also want them to know that who they are in this moment at 82 and not being able to run and jump and throw medicine balls is totally fine, and they're great, and I value them for who they are in this moment too. And I just think that's really, I found that to be really important in my work with older people. Where are we, Robin, in terms of time? You.
It's amazing how easy it is to forget to unmute yourself.
I know.
It is 12:45, 12:46, so we have just, I do need to end right at 1. So do you want to open it up for conversation again? Or do you have or do you want to close?
Sure. I'll kind of conclude, I suppose. I wanted to point out that the things that we're talking about today, so like what you're bringing, what your goals are, what you're bringing in terms of your talents and skills and challenges and chronic diseases and injuries and all that stuff, all of that is part of what I do with a new client as part of the initial assessment, which is free, by the way. You know, obviously these are important things to set up any training program. And I wanted to just briefly say that I have an acronym for why you might want to engage a personal trainer. It's FEAT. So it stands for fun, experience, expertise, accountability, and time. So the idea is that the trainer can make your workout fun, help you make your workout fun. The trainer has expertise to help you make sure that you're doing exercises that are going to get you where you're going in a way that's going to be safe and effective. A is for accountability, because I don't know about you, but somebody's watching me, I'm going to jump higher. I'm going to do that extra rep. And then time is like, you know, we all have all kinds of stuff that's like grabbing our time and attention. And when you have that focus of attention, you can be more efficient, and it just takes less time to get where you want to go. So I just wanted to throw that out there and let you know that it's like, I think Rebecca said, it's never too late to start. So if you know someone, if it's you, or if you know someone who needs to get off the quarantine couch, get off the couch in general, or learn something new. You might be not sure what to do to get where you want to go. I would love to help you spring into action. And I want to offer to you for being here today and to listening to me, and hopefully to donating to the TPS Foundation, give you guys 20% off any package that you choose if you do your SPRY assessment with me before the end of the month. So keep that in mind. I'd love to talk to you more about that, and you'd be welcome to toss that in the chat over there to say, yes, I want my free SPRY fitness assessment. And Robin will help us get connected. Any other thoughts about just, you know.
Is that transferable?
To someone else?
Yeah, like could I
if you have a loved one that you would like to get me set up with, I would be, yeah, that'd be great.
She needs it. That all the, yes, feet, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Thoughts about, you know, our expectations about aging and, you know, goal setting with older folks. What do you want to say, Suzanne?
I just wanted to talk about, you know, how people feel they want to share with you what they used to be like before they got here.
Thanks. Yeah.
And I read and posted recently an article from the Harvard Business Review about collective grief, because there is kind of a collective grief going on in the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
But so, and this is something that we looked at in health and wellness coaching, and I'm sure all of you do too, but just to remind us that there's a grief with aging. There's a grief with letting go of things that we can't, I mean, aging's better than the alternative. And there are still things that come with aging, and it's nobody's fault. And so I had to recognize that I had a lot of grief. I mean, it's nothing really. I feel like a baby when I get upset about, or when I would get really upset about it. But there is an incredible loss that you weren't expecting. And it's not that we're not expecting it with aging. We over expect it with aging. So it's kind of the opposite. But we still need to recognize that there's grief with aging. And we have to recognize it in order to get to the place where we can be okay with where we are now. For some people more than others. But
I agree. Thank you.
Wonderful. Rebecca, unmute.
Okay, unmuted. I just love this, and I think that it's a great idea to talk more openly about our expectations with age and kind of throwing those expectations out the window. Even I see it every day in the people I work with, because that's kind of the population I work with. But I think that culturally we're not used to that, right? Culturally, we expect people to just stay at home, do their knitting, and that doesn't have to be that way. And truthfully, movement and exercise and just moving helps our brains feel better. It helps our lungs feel better, our heart move better. It helps us age better. So many good things about helping, getting to move. And just one kind of anecdotal story, I was working with someone earlier this year, they were diagnosed with Parkinson's a few years ago, and they were very active before, and they just stopped moving. And then we worked together for a couple of months, and they didn't know that they could keep moving again. They didn't know that they were allowed to keep moving. They kind of had that diagnosis and stopped all of their exercise that they had been doing. So they did great because they already had that motivation. And now this person who's 80 can get up and off the floor, and I retested something, and they're wearing a harness that's attached to the ceiling, but he started running. It's the first time I've ever seen someone run in the solo step before. So the point is, whatever we think, and even if we don't think we have expectations, sometimes we do, it should just go out the window, because anything's possible. No matter where you are, it's never too late to start. You might need a guided eye and a PT or a personal trainer, but it's never too late to get moving. So I just loved meeting all of you and being a part of this.
I have a question.
Very nice. Very nice. And just thank you so much, Susan. I think we should applaud Susan. Yay! This is a lot. And I want to take a picture of all of us together. So put on your happy face while I do this. Yay! Yeah, Barnsley, you have a great happy face. I'm sure that's great. And this has just been wonderful. I love the conversation. I love the gifts that everybody has given by coming here and by sharing their views and their thoughts and learning from Susan. And I love my little stretch workout there at the beginning too. And thank you so much. And I hope you'll be able to come May 20th. I'll put a notice out, and I'm going to send Susan everyone's contact information so she can send out her offer through the email, so you have something that you can click on. And I would love to connect with you, Rebecca, because looking around, I know everyone but you.
Hey, Robin, can I make a suggestion to everybody about how we can help Susan?
Sure.
That would be take what she sends out and cut and paste it and send it to your neighborhood email list. Because because there are people in your neighborhood email list who are elderly, who want to age in place, and they don't realize there's someone who could help them with this.
Good.
Thanks, Barnsley. Yeah, thank you, Barnsley. And honestly, I have had some of my clients send recommendations to their neighborhood listservs, and it's very effective. It's really helpful. So if you can do that, that'd be awesome.
Where are you located?
I'm in Durham,
Oh, okay.
and when I go to people's homes, and that's primarily was what I was doing, in the corridor, sort of the 54 corridor from Chapel Hill to like past east of South Point Mall. That's sort of, you know, south to Governor's Club, and then north to sort of Duke campus area, is where I can, you know, pretty comfortably drive around to people's homes. So one benefit of having, of learning to do this on Zoom is that I can work with your mom in Florida if you want. So, I
There you
mean,
go, Liz.
Yeah, and my mom is actually finally quite tech savvy herself, so she
Sweet.
can do a Zoom call. She
Do it.
knows. Yes. But can I say one thing
yeah.
about what Rebecca was saying? And I'm going to I won't try to trace it because we don't have too much time. But I find it interesting to think that, you know, there are so many people who would like to say, this is what I want to do. I'm going to sit in front of my couch or, you know, in front of my TV and knit. But the minute you tell them that they can't go out or that they can't do something, and I'm definitely even with physical therapy, like with my son, we had a doctor who said, well, he'll never be able to flex his arm properly again. As soon as somebody says never, I'm like, I'm going to prove to you. So like, tell somebody that they're not allowed to exercise. Don't move and see what happens. I don't know. It's all mindset stuff.
It is.
I
But
love
this
it.
was wonderful. Thank you,
Love it.
Susan.
Mhm.